Right, so we're going to talk about site and page builder, in specifically page builder, because page builder is used throughout Zenler. So getting familiar with it and getting used to working with it and understanding it is the key to your success, especially when you're creating new pages from scratch and understanding how you can actually just copy blocks or save blocks and then reuse them in pages. So hopefully from last week, we set up our holding page. It was all about media. So hopefully you've had a good play around. If you want to put in the chat, if you've had a good play around with the media or you've just been too busy to do that, then that would be good. And also where you're from. Now, obviously this is for kind of Australian. Yes, Heather did. So Gold Coast. Oh, beautiful. Lovely. Nice and warm. Right. Okay. So good, guys. So you've had a play. You know all about that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put a couple of links into the chat. And this is on videos. One of them's a workshop like we're doing today. So you might want to watch that because I go into detail over, I think it's about 2 hours long, and go into detail about lots of the page builder because I'm going to go over it. We started building it when we did our holding page, and it also tells you about page builder in general. So by putting these little links in here, which would also be in the course, so don't worry if you don't get a chance to watch them. I'm just going to put this link in here, and this is our YouTube channel link to where we have those videos. So we've got Charlotte from Germany as well, up early in the morning. Plenty missed the first 2 sessions, Nina and Joy. Yeah, I know, but you can watch them on the replay, Nina, so you're all cool. Right, so have a look at those links because those links are quite good. You can do it after or just save those links out so you can look at them afterwards. So last week we had a look at building our holding page, which we obviously use the page builder to do. So hopefully you guys have created a holding page. I don't know where you all are with your site creation. Maybe some of you have got your site up and you're just looking at this you're waiting for the more advanced workshops to come along, but we are starting from the beginning, so we're going through them all. So I don't know if you've created this page and you understand the principle behind it. So it means that you can work on your site whilst you still got your page open to pull in leads so that later on you can say, hey, I've launched my site, come and have a look at it and buy my lovely training. So we're going to look at the page builder, and I'm going to quickly shoot into a little thing from our playbook that we share each week. I'm going to look at what we are doing. So I'm not going to cover two. By the way, last week I forgot to mention the GDPR. So that was put into the community section. So I'm going to touch on that today. So you guys that need a GDPR on your site, you can turn it on and where it shows up and those sort of things. So I'm just going to I'm going to turn, you guys can unmute yourselves, but don't jump in only if I'm like, because sometimes I do it where I don't share my screen. and then I'm like, people are just doing that because they can't say you're not sharing your screen. So I've turned on the thing. So don't come on, don't ask questions until we get to the kind of question section. So let me just go and share this now. Okay, so we are on workshop 3, so building your Zenler site. So what we're going to look at today, so at this stage, we have a lead generation form now set up on your site, which we did last week. We did a kind of holding page to capture leads. So just before we jump into the page builder, let's have a look at a few things. So we want to make sure the following are done. Make sure your site details are correct. We want to set up if you haven't set up your domain or subdomain, then we have videos in the complete guide to Zenler on that if you need to set up your domain or subdomain, or you might want to wait until you've got your site fully done, you know, maybe even a course in there before you do the changeover. And there's certain tips I'm going to be talking about today with linking using what's called a relative link. Turn on your GDPR settings if you need them. Going to make sure you set your time zone and check your sitemap is just recording the pages that you've published and not you know, you haven't accidentally left all your pages on and you've got loads of pages that aren't finished. Why? Because search engines could pick up on it. I know we haven't added it to Google yet, but some of you might have, and they might pick those pages that are not finished, and you don't want that to show. So this is for you there. So in branding, make sure you have your font set. Remember, we did that branding workshop. So make sure you've got your fonts, make sure you've got your colors, you know, and they're all applied under the branding settings. Don't worry, we're going to look at that in a second. And then inside, edit the system emails that are going to go out. Now, we don't have to worry too much at this stage about system emails that are going out, because we're just using lead capture. But later on, when we make this full site live, your things like people registering on your site, they're going to send a system email out. So we're going to make sure that we have a look at that. At least you know where they are, so you can customize them, okay, which is something a lot of people don't do. Also, we're going to look inside the pages. We're going to look at the unsubscribe and the subscribe pages. And I've seen this a lot where people have left the Zenler logo in there. They've just kind of forgotten about those pages because they think, oh, that's all right. People will just go there, unsubscribe or subscribe. But you need to make sure you change that logo over. So we're going to be looking at that as well. So I'm going to just come out of this before we move on to the second part of that playbook. And I'm going to just flick this up so I can work through in order. Right. This playbook that we've got here, this will be available for you in the course, okay? So we're going to jump into the site again, and we're going to look at a few things that I was just talking about there before we jump into the page builder. So let's go and share. Right. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is what I was talking about in here, is make sure your site details are correct. So at this stage, it's not too late to change the name of your site, okay? So you could change this to something like good doggy in here and hit update. Now, I'm not going to do that, but I could do that. Now, this is something that people get a little bit lost with. When they change it and hit update, it will change literally straight away. So it means when you come in to log into your site, you need to make sure that you're going to gooddoggy.newzenler.com. Okay, a lot of people go back and they're going, oh, why is my site not coming up? I'm going into demo.newzenler, but you will have changed it. Okay, so you need to make sure that you log in with the right URL if you have changed that. This is really important. A lot of people get stuck with this. So also the site name, we're going to call this, we want to call it something different. So I'd like to call it dog training with good doggy. Okay, and then I click update. So just make sure, so it's saying URL is taken because I've just updated that, but this site name's changed. So make sure that your site name is reflecting what you do. Custom domains, we're touching on this. This is where you go to set up your custom domain or subdomain. Any questions on that with the difference between domain and subdomain? Are you all okay? Thumbs up? Thumbs up. Thank you. Thank you, Maury. Right, so GDPR settings, this was talked about. I just forgot it because sometimes these workshops, you know, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to get through, and sometimes things are forgotten, and I shouldn't have. Make sure if you need GDPR that you turn this on. So what will happen is you'll get a message come up with this. If you turn it off, you won't get anything come up. Also, when you have any registration forms, and this is not custom forms, you need, if you're creating a custom form like we did for this, you need to make sure you put a little checkbox in there, and I included a video in that in the last thing, so you should have seen it. So, but normal forms like registration forms for the site, that will have that text come up with a little checkbox. Okay, so make sure you've got that. I've edited this slightly, so now I've turned this on. If I go into incognito, you can't see it on this page, but if I go into incognito, this is Chrome I'm using, by the way, little three dots, go down to incognito window, paste it in there. You're going to see it will come up at the bottom. Do you see that? And that's because I got the GDPR. So I've just said, yes, I agree to emails. That's my confirmation. Plus, it's very ambiguous the way that the GDPR rules kind of work, because it's saying on one side of it is saying if you're giving clear indication of what they're signing up for, you don't need that checkbox. So it says then sign up for our dog training subscriptions, telling them. So if they don't put it in there, they know. So other people use things like double opt-in and all these things, but I think this is enough information, and I've never ever been pulled up on this stuff. So generally I turn this off. That's because I haven't got my cookie page set up. So it's up to you guys. Just look at where you are, what country you're in, if you need to do that and things. I know Spain has got different rules to for different things as well as lots of different countries have got things where you've got to put certain things in. So make sure you check out last week's workshop and just look in the additional resources and you'll see the thing on GDPR. So we'll so site details are correct. We're in there. You want to check that if you want people to be able to download invoices for this, you can enable this and you can put your business name and all of these things in here. We'll get onto this later because this is course related really. We have notification settings here. Again, we're going to get onto this later. It's all about emails going out, what emails go out and whether you're manually handling those emails. We have a thing in here called Global Includes. This will be an area where you put things like Facebook Pixel or Google Analytics or CSS code. So you don't have to touch that at the moment. And this is important. Make sure you're selecting your time zone. So you want to make sure that you're selecting your proper time zone in there. Click update. And lastly, we have a sitemap here. Now, I think we covered this last week. This is recreating the sitemap, and this is based on the pages that are published. So you can see I've got some pages that are published here, and these are the only ones that will appear in that sitemap if I click recreate sitemap in here. So this is really important because at the moment you've just got a holding page up and then a thank you page, which we created last week. So they are the only pages, because they're published, they're the only pages that will appear in the sitemap. But if you actually go into your pages and publish a few other pages down here, and then you recreate the sitemap, those published pages will be included as well. So be careful of that, because you don't want pages that you haven't finished with. Like this is a thing for a live build that I'm doing, and I don't want this page to be part of this site, you know. So I'd make sure if I was recreating my sitemap that I unpublished that page by clicking there, and then it won't appear in the sitemap. Then I can recrawl the sitemap and I should get only the pages that I want to appear in there, which is correct: subscribe, terms, support, register, do. So that is really important. Again, this is something we're going to cover later. When you've finished your site and you've got it all working and it looks nice, all you need to do, guys, is just make sure the pages you don't want to show on the sitemap are unpublished. That's all you need to know. Then you need to go to site and you need to go to sitemap, and then you just click recreate sitemap, and it will then pull in the pages that are published. It's only pulled in the pages that are published in here. Okay, so bear that in mind as well when you're doing it. But you know, if you forget or something, then we're going to be covering this again later anyway, once you've built your site, because I'm going to recap on things that you should be doing once your site is built. Right, so time zone, check your sitemap. So in branding, we want to go to branding now. We've covered the site settings area. So inside branding, you're going to make sure that you have all your logos uploaded. So you can just click upload. You want to upload maybe a fav icon. Fav icons are square, okay? And upload those. And you can see I've got a little paw there, and then I've got this here, and then that appears in the page, appears here, and that's my little fav icon there. See? That's that one. So down here, I want to make sure, now you remember last time we went through like branding, choosing the fonts that you're going to use. So for headings, choose that font that you've picked, choose that body type that you've picked, and then do the same for the course player as well. So I think I've got this wrong. I need to set this to bold for that. And then I need to open sans regular for that. And then I click save. And then that will be applied. So I always make sure that my main site, these are site-wide fonts. I always make sure these fonts are the same as the course player font, just so it all matches up. You could pick a completely different one if you wanted to. And then down here, we've got the colors. So make sure you've set your colors. So you can see in here, I've got this blue color. This is the header area here, which is the top part, this part. Yeah, the body area is all of this part. Don't worry about this page. We're going to look at this page later. And then this part down the bottom is the footer. So if you look down the footer, you can see that color. So if I change this color, change it to that, then I go down and hit save, come back into this page, hit refresh, and you're going to see that it will change to the new color. Simple. So you can play around with that until it works for you. Again, you should be using your branding colors to do this. Community is for the community section. So if you've got a community set on your site, you can change that or do it later. And we have the blog as well, which we haven't looked at yet. So I'm going to look at that later. So I've got the background color for that. I'm actually going to change that to more of a white for the very top area there. And I'm going to save that. And then if I refresh, hold the control key, hit the refresh button, that should go white now. That's better. Okay, so this is the page that we're going to be building inside Page Builder. And they are the things that you need to make sure you've done before we start working in the Page Builder. So have we got any questions? So I've got something come in. David, we watched the replay. So can we pause you when necessary? Thank you for your dedication. So yeah, I mean, if you're watching a replay, of course you can pause me, you know, so you can pause it to rewatch. Remember those links I put in there as well, go over all this stuff. So you've got it all in there. So I'm going to jump back to the slide again, to the playbook, and I'm going to have a look at the page builder now. And we're not just talking about building a page, we're also talking about links in the header and footer. So at the end of this workshop, I want you to understand how to link around inside the site, how to take away from the menu system and how to add to the menu system later, because a lot of you might be scared to delete things out thinking, I'll never be able to get that back. But what we're going to do is we're going to start from basically nothing, and then we're going to build a page, then we're going to build another page. I'm going to add it to the menu, link it up using best practices, and then we're going to work like that. So you can slowly start to build your site up. This is two reasons this is a good idea. One is you finished all those pages that are all linked together. Second thing about it is you could release a site as live because you're building it and the content's good as you're working your way through it. So that's two reasons why. So I'm going to go and share this slide now to show you a little bit about the page builder. Okay. All right, so let's look at the page builder. So there's lots of places in the platform that use the page builder, and that's why it's definitely worth spending one session, and we will be reusing this all the time, because the page builder is used to build pages. It's used to build any of your pages in the lives that you set up. It's used to build any of the funnels that you set up. So it's used all over the place, and it will probably be even more integrated. It might even be part of the blog. In fact, it is part of the blog for the settings pages, but it might actually be used for the blog later. So understanding the page builder is your key to success at using Zenler, really. And it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. What we have here is we have a block. So a block is a block of content that you put in there, and that blue block is the container. So it's like the box. And then you have inside that a row. So you need to put, you need to pack whatever you're putting in there. So we call that a row. And then of course we have whatever's in that packing, or whatever's in that row, which we call an element. So the colors are blue, green, and red. And these are the ones that you'll be using all the time. There are other colors when you're using things like dynamic blocks that pull content in across lots of places. Then they are gold. They've got a little gold line around them. If you're using forms, there's a little purple thing going around it. But these three are the main things that you need to know. So the blue, the green, and the red. Now, this is a very simple block because obviously we just got a background color in the block, background put in there like we did for the holding page. Then we have a single row, but a single row doesn't have to be a single row. It can be a single row with multiple columns. And then inside this single row, we have an element, which in this case is just a text element, but we can put whatever element we want in here. Now, all of these blocks, rows, and elements, and any other of the gold, blue, purple ones, all will have a way of changing the settings in there, deleting themselves out, and also duplicating them. So you have this ability to duplicate whole blocks, which can be really good. Now, the other thing is we can save blocks as well. So we can save these blue blocks, and whatever's inside that block will be saved with it. Okay, so this is these are the basics of how the page builder works inside here. So we're going to look at this now. So I've given a little bit of information on what the header is and what the footer is on the site. So remember that header's right at the top. It's normally containing the menu. The footer normally contains like social media and might contain another menu system. So in Zenler, by default, we've put in what's called a dynamic header and footer in there. So this means that this dynamic header and footer is throughout all of the all of the paid default pages that are set up when you get Zenler. What is good about dynamic is that if you change, wherever that block is in your site, if you change it in one place, it'll happen throughout all the other pages. So imagine the amount of time that will save. So if I've got a menu that says home and I want to add, and I've got the dynamic block across 100 pages, let's say, and I go into one of those pages and I change the dynamic header and put about us and then link it up to an about us page, every one of those 100 pages will update as well. If you did it manually, and you can create headers and footers manually, if you did that manually, you'd have to go into every single one of those 100 pages and you'd have to copy the block back in there or update each block. So dynamic content is really powerful inside Zenler, and you'll find dynamic content around a lot. Dynamic content is used for like prices. It's used in a ton of different areas. So, and it pulls the content in, especially like in lives and things, where it actually pulls the title and the description of the live straight into the pages. Means you can change it in one place and it will automatically update on those other pages. So that's the difference between a manual block or a custom block that you've created and a dynamic block. So that gives a bit of information on there. So, okay, so the next thing I want to talk about now is relative links in your site. So hopefully are you all okay, guys? Are you all okay with this? You're all good, yeah? Because I know it can be I don't want anyone to be confused at any stage of this. Right, so I can move on. Good. Right. Okay, so relative links. So for internal sites, we can use relative links. Right, so you'll be like, oh, what's relative link? So an absolute link is something like your whole domain name, and then, just the whole thing from the browser, the whole name. But if you're linking to pages inside your site, you don't need to put the whole name. You just need to put from the end of your domain name. So it's like, in this case, demo.newzenler.com. I don't need to use any of that. I can just put from / whatever the page name is. And the reason that you would do this, especially for you guys that have still got it and maybe using the free plan or haven't changed your domain name or thinking about changing your domain name to another domain name, is that if you put the actual link in here, and then you change the domain name, that it won't work because it won't be the same name. But by using relative links, it will, because it doesn't care what's before /home or /about us or /contact us. It doesn't care what's before that. So you can change the name as much as you like. And then, once you change the name, you go in there, the links will all work because they are relative links. So they're relative to the pages. Now, this is for internal pages inside Zenler. This is not, I'm not talking about outside pages. If you were going to link to your YouTube channel or your Facebook group, you're still going to have to put the whole link in there, but that's outside of the platform. You know, it doesn't matter. So using relative links makes it a lot easier. I know it's easier to go and copy the whole URL and put the whole URL in there, but trust me, it's better to use the end part. So if you can do that as best practices, that would be really good. So are we clear on that? Right, good. Claire, you all right, Claire? Do you want to unmute?
Sorry, so where do we find how to do that internal links? Is that on the pages somewhere, is it, or? I'm
going to show you.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Just understand the principle. And,
yes, yes, yeah, I understand the principle.
Right, okay, good, yeah. I'm not going to go, there you go away. Go and do it. Right, so I'm going to close this down now. I finished with that presentation from Canva, so that will be supplied inside the training. So let's go now and jump into our site, and then I can tell Claire all about the relative links when we get to it. Right, so we've got a site here. I've set up a page already. This is my start page for what I want. So we're going to basically be just rebuilding this page. I'm showing you where I get the stuff from. Remember, we've already got our logo. We uploaded it, and we did this lovely image last time. So we're going to rebuild this. So what I tend to do, rather than work on live pages in the site, I kind of set up little blocks, and then I copy them into the pages. So this whole workshop is about understanding a page builder. So this is the main thing. As we go, we're going to build. Now, the page builder inside Zenler is, I would say, the best one out there for any platform, because it's absolutely not tied to any templating system. If you guys have used things like Teachable, Thinkific, Kajabi, you might think, oh, well, it's good, I can do whatever I like in here, but you cannot. There's certain things you can't do, like change the margins or the padding inside of some of those settings inside, especially in Kajabi and things. So Zenler has given you this system where you've got a lot of power, and it doesn't lock you in. Your sites all can be completely different from each other, because there's literally millions of combinations of things that you can do with it. In fact, it's limitless. And I did this with, someone was asking me how to get a WordPress site, make it look like a Zenler, her WordPress site. She wanted the Zenler site to look like it. So I'm just going to show you quickly now. I'm just going to stop the share whilst I get the site name up for Angela's site. So this is a site. I'm going to be doing a live build on this in the week without Angela. She's given me permission to go in and do it on her site. So I just want to show you the capabilities of what you can do inside the page builder. And this is very basic, by the way. So what we have here is we have a WordPress site. This is her WordPress site. And she was asking, she had a few questions, but she was asking, like, how do I get this WordPress site across and make it look like a Zenler site? So it is a WordPress site. Improve this by going into WP admin, which is the admin for this, and you can see that the admin will come up for a WordPress site. So definitely a WordPress site. So how do we get it to look like that? Well, it's really easy using the page builder. So what I did is I've done one for her. I've done a page. And if I go into pages, you're going to see that page at the top. You probably spotted it earlier. If I go and preview this page now, what you're going to get is you're going to get this site now. I haven't done the header at the top, but everything else looks pretty much the same, with a little bit of animation as well as the WordPress site. So you see how you can do that. That's the power that Zenler has built into it. You can create these blocks and make them look, this is the WordPress one, and this is the Zenler version of it. And looks pretty much the same, doesn't it? You know? So it's like, she wants to keep her WordPress. She's actually changing the name, but I advised her to follow the same flow as her therapy site. So that's what we're doing. We're going to do it over. So I'm going to do a live build in the week on how to do this. And should be a good one for you guys to watch. So I'll make sure that that is also, when I've done it, I'll put that in the course as well. So I just want to show you the kind of power of the Zenler system to be able to do anything you like inside. Now, also, I created this page, which you guys just saw, And this is my start. So this would be my home page. And I've got a little bit of the same information that I've got on the waiting page, really. It's just changed a little bit. And I've got down here sort of things like mission statements, and you can put whatever you like in there. And then I've also got things like the workshops that we cover. So I've got that toilet training, tricks, skills training, anxiety training, and some nice little graphics. And with these workshops, I'm always trying to find free content. I don't want to go and do stuff, design my own stuff, because you guys are not going to be able to do it. And so I'm trying to use free content so you can understand. So these images that I've got here are all on Pixabay. So if I go into Pixabay, I've got them downloaded in the system already. But if I just put in here dog, and then I just go to the transparent, remember we did this the other week, then you're going to see that those images come up. Probably not going to be able to find them now. Where is it? I think I put puppy in here as well, but they were in here. I grabbed them off of here and put them in here. So you've got a little dog there. There's one of them. So I just went in there. I did a free download. Now I didn't want this one. It's only a page image, so I didn't want it massive. I know last week I said use 1080 by 1920, but for this little in-page little graphic, I just downloaded 997 by 1280. And I think I've got those files. Let me just show you. There they are. So these are the ones I downloaded for that. So plenty big enough at that size. Notice they're different sizes as well. So I rescaled them. So we're going to basically build this page out. I've got my little images that I downloaded for free from Pixabay. And that's how I got those images in there, which I think are the only images I added. Then I added a form down there, which we did last week, just redid it. So we're going to do this page up. I'm going to pretend this is like the home page. And once you understand the principle of this, saving it out, then you can go and work on your other pages. So you might want to decide that this top bit stays the same. You might want to change the background color a little bit, change the wording, but you might want to keep that top bit and then just have the content underneath it. We're not going to do anything really complex here because obviously it'll take too long. So we're just going to stick with this. This is pretty much gives you all that you need. So you're happy with that, guys? Right, lots of nods, good. Right, let's get stuck in then. Right, okay, so I'm going to, first thing I'm going to do, you can see I've set up a template page here. I'm just going to drag that across here so I can copy the styling. Okay, so what I do is I make sure these pages are unpublished. So you can see that template is unpublished. Now, also, just a quick note, if they are unpublished and then you try to preview this URL inside Incognito, and I think I showed you this before, nothing will show it. Oops, the page cannot be found. That's because it's unpublished. You can preview it, but you're only previewing it because you are admin. Okay, so it's allowing you to see that page. You can see it. See this? So it says preview on. Okay, and that's because you are there. Now, if you decide to take all of this URL and think, oh, well, I can look at that in Incognito, it will not work because you're not logged in Incognito. You're still going to get this oops page. So if you did want to look at it at Incognito, just quickly, you could just go into here, publish the page, and then you'll be able to see it. Okay, just a little side note for you. Right, so let's set up this blank page. I'm going to go to add page. We're going to choose this. I'm going to call this workshop for this. I'm going to leave it unpublished. I'm going to choose a blank page. There are these template pages, but they just put things in there that you probably want to remove anyway. So I'll just call this workshop in here and hit add. And what I will get is the dynamic header and the footer in there, and then I'm just going to get a blank space. Okay, so it's giving me that header, it's giving me that footer, and I've got this middle area. So when you click inside here, you're going to get these options: settings, clone, save. If you're a pro and premium, you can save. If you're a free user, you're not going to be able to save it. If you go in there, you can delete it as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to put an image in there. So I'm going to go into the settings, and this is, remember, this is the blue block that contains everything. I haven't put a row in there yet. I haven't put an element inside that row. So I just want to put a background image behind it. So I'm going to go into the settings here. Over on the right hand side, I'm going to select the image, and I've already got it uploaded here. If you want to upload it, you just click there and upload. Going to click that, it will drop in there. And you can see I've got this says 100. Do you see that says 100 there? This is, you can actually move this out. So I can make this a bit bigger inside here. Now, as you add content, it's going to get higher anyway. But you see, as I'm dragging it, it's showing more of the image. Yeah. We can also put a tint over the top. So because probably colors are not going to show up too well on this kind of color, I'm going to put a little tint, a little overlay of black. So I've hit that gear icon. I'm going to go down to background overlay, turn that on, and I'm going to choose black there. You're going to see it's going to go dark, and then I can change that opacity inside there. Right, now we're going to add a row. Now for this particular one, we only need one row. We're not doing anything like this where we got three columns. We only need one column. So I'm going to go in here, add a row. It's going to bring up our little rows. You can see we've got a selection of rows that you can choose, different types. By the way, guys, even if you choose like 2 columns, 1 row, you can also add and delete rows out. We'll look at that in a minute. In fact, let me show you now. I'll click that one. So I've now got 2 columns in 1 row. So I can add different elements inside here. But if I didn't want this row, if I hover over the row, right-hand click, and this is what people don't realize, that you can right-hand click, I can actually go delete column, and bang, it's going to ask me to confirm that. And now it's giving me 1 row. And I could also right-hand click in here, and I could go add a column. And it's added a column. I could go in here and I could add a column, and so on and so on. So you can really quickly, you only need to use 1 row, and you know that you've got the flexibility of deleting columns out or adding columns if you've made a mistake. So let's delete that column out there. And let's put our first thing to put in is our logo. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to add a image. And I'm going to go, I would have to upload my image, but I've already got it here. So I'm going to click that. And it's a bit too big. So to get it to resize, I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on the image. And you're going to see these little handles in the corner. If I click on this handle, I can bring this in. Okay. Now I want to put some text underneath it. So I've got this text to put in. So let's add this text. So I'm going to go into here. And for headings, I always use H1. If it's like subheadings or like page headings inside the page, use heading 2. Okay. For everything else, use text. You don't never really normally have to use H3, H4, H5, H6. There's a reason behind this. The Google search engines look at H1 headings, and that tells Google that that's what the page is about. H2 headings are second in priority, H3, H4, H5, H6, and then the body text, okay? So that's why we put them in that order. I've seen many people just use the text in the same, and then there's no priority order. Now, it doesn't make, I don't think it makes a huge difference. No one knows Google's algorithms, but it's standard practice to do this. So if you've got a heading, use H1. So if you've got a bit of paper, write that down. Subheadings, second most important, H2, and then just use text. Don't worry about H3, H4, H5, H6. Okay, so I'm going to click that, and the text has gone in there. Now I'm going to put my text in. There it is. And it's gone in that horrible gray. But if I go to the little settings tab here, we're going to have on the right-hand side the ability to go and change this out. So I can go in here and I can choose a nicer color for this. So I think on my design, I've got something like that. it should be in the font that you chose. So that's a bold, and I'm going to make this something like 55 in here. Okay. So next thing we've got to do is we've got to put the next one down. So we've got to put this and this. So we're going to follow that order. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop an H2 in. Oop. We're going to choose a regular, I think I'll choose it. Set that. Remember, you'd be setting your sizes according to your brand sheet. Change the color. Maybe I want it a little bit closer to this lettering. So if you look here, you're going to have the option to be able to change the margins or the spacing top and bottom. So watch what happens when I pull this up, and also if I push it down. So this is a way of being able to space things. So this one's also got one in. So I want to bring it a bit closer. The bottom I'm going to bring up here. Okay, so you got that fine control to be able to put things exactly where you want to. So next thing I've got to put in here now is going to be a text. So I'm going to grab a text block, grab my text from here. Come into the settings for that. And later is good, actually. I'm going to leave that. We're going to do that on 24. Just do a line break, shift, enter. And there we have it. And that is our first block done. So you can see it matches this block. When I save it, it's going to come up this. Now we need to set SEO. This is important as well. So make sure that you label it what you want to call it. I'm not going to get deep into SEO, but we're going to go to Dog Training Center based in something like that. And then you put some text in here. I can do that. And then I put some keywords in here. Later on in the course, we're going to be looking in depth at marketing. So I don't want you to get too caught up in this. We're just going to put a few in here. So every time you put a keyword set in there, you just put a comma in and then you follow with the next word. And of course, you can also put in an image. Now, this is really important because one, Google picks up on what you've put in there. It also is what will be posted if you post this to social media. So if you post this to our Facebook group and you don't fill any of this in, you'll get unexpected results in here. So you need to put in there. I've seen it before, actually. I've seen people post their page on Wow Wednesdays, and then you get that old little computer screen and it just says something random, and then people have just posted it on there. And the reason that that's happened is they haven't set up their SEO on the pages. So we at Zenler, when you first save the page, you're going to get this SEO thing come up and you should fill it out. We do that so it forces you at that stage to put that information in there. It doesn't have to be, just put it so it makes sense at this point in time. Later on, we'll talk about marketing, but at this point in time, just do it so it makes sense and it looks good in here. All right. This is important. So we're going to click done. Now, also notice, just before I do that, you've got show in search results. So if you turn that off, it means that the sitemap won't generate that page URL. So it will actually just miss it. And there's reasons why you might want to do that. Generally, you would turn it on so that Google can actually see it. but it doesn't always work because some search engines, Bing, I think, Yahoo, will actually crawl the page even if it's not in the sitemap. So it's not a cure for all search engines, but I know Google pays a lot of attention to whether that's showing or not. So definitely make sure you do your SEO when you've done all of your page changes. We're going to click save to that. If you need to do your SEO later because you're like, I can't be bothered to think about that, I just want to design my page, not a problem. You just go back into the page and you go down to where it says SEO settings, and you're going to be able to update it in there. All right. So you can do it later. Don't forget it though. So that'll happen. It'll only happen once when you click the save, and then it won't happen again. So we've done that first part. So we're now going to work on this second part down here. So you can see we're building these blocks up, and I'm going to move this a little bit this way. I'm actually going to move this up a little bit, and we're also going to save this block out. So you have the ability to save these blocks. So you're going to see down here under custom blocks, I've got a few blocks that I've saved out. I've saved out the holding page form that I had, and I saved out a few others that I was playing around with. Now you can delete these blocks by clicking in here and then clicking delete. And you're now going to see that that block has disappeared from here. That's the block for the bottom form, but I'll delete it because I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to be rebuilding it anyway. And let's just get rid of that one as well, because that's something. All right, so let's save this block out now. So I've got this block and I want to save it. So I'm going to click that little save button. That might have been a bit quick in there. Save block as template. And we're going to call it whatever we like. So I'm going to call it doggy heading. And click save. Right, now this means that this saved. So when you open a new page up, you can just drag that block in. So let me just prove it to you by deleting this out. And now I've closed it up. I'm going to go to blocks. Down here, we have this block. So if I grab this block now and I drag it into the page and let go, bang, I've got that page. So I can do that on any pages. If I may go into a new page, I can just drag that block across. Blocks are great. And I know we've got Mina here now. Mina loves saving her blocks. She's got about 100,000 and she needs to delete a few out. So you be careful with the blocks. You can easily build them up and then you need to go through them and delete them all out. So let's move on to the mission statement next. So I'm going to build blocks from scratch. Now inside Zenler, we have this ability, if you close this up, to choose some of the blocks that are created for you. There's lots of things like call to action blocks, and you can drag these in and you can format them however you like. But I think the best way to learn is if you're building stuff from scratch. So you could go in and grab these blocks and drag them into the page and then just reformat them. But personally, I build everything from scratch. I just like to know how I've put the thing together rather than rely on one of the blocks that have dragged across. So I'm going to go in now and grab an empty block, and it's empty. So I'm just going to drag it across here. And by the way, if I drop it in the wrong place and I want to move it, no problem. I've got a little arrow. I should have a little arrow where I can move it. Where is it? Up there. And if I click the block, I can just do this, bang. So it jumps down the bottom. So for this one, I've got a nice blue color. So I'm going to stick to the blue. I'm going to go into the settings. So instead of using a background image now, I'm just going to use a background color. So I'm going to choose a nice color that I've got in here, like something like that. And then I'm going to start to add my mission statement. Now you can save a lot of time here by doing this little trick. So that's what I love about live workshops. I can be showing you all these little kind of tricks that I use to speed up things. So if I click this block here, I can click clone. I can grab this block and bring it down here, and hopefully when it, oh, sorry guys, just need to drop in a row first. It's not going to let me unless I put a row in there. Right, let's put a row in there. So I've got the blue block. I've now got the row. I can grab this one now, and I should be able to drop it straight in there. So this saves me a lot of time. I don't have to reformat. It's consistent. I can just change the text. I can then change the color because I think I picked a gray for this. Let's choose a lighter gray. And then I can choose this one. So cloning can be real big time saver. And notice as I drag this, I'm holding my left mouse button and it's giving me the location. So if I drop it there, you can always move it later by using this, moving again. But you can move it around. So really easy, a true drop and drag or drag and drop editor. So I'm going to change this to a different type of font now. So I'm going to select this and I want to change it to Merriweather. Let's make that white. I'm going to make that one a blue. Yeah, notice with this, you can select a color from within here. So you should be matching to your brand guidelines, but I'm just going a little bit off. That looks good. And you can see it changing as you move it around. So now that's done, I'm going to just close this up a little bit. And save it. So you see how quick you can create these blocks in here. And of course, I can save this out. So, you know, later on, if I use it in another page, I could change the background color, change the text, and bang, it's done. It's given a different effect. So I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to call it quote block, something like that. Click save. Now that will be available in my blocks. There we go. All right, so we're going to move on now to this one. Now, this is a little bit more technical, but it's not massively technical. So when I look at a page, I'm looking at how it's been built up. So I can see that I've got the main block, which is blue, and then I've obviously got one more row, which is here. And then I've got two elements in it, a heading and then another subheading. Now I can look at this and go, I know that there's another block in here and it must be a 3-column single row because I've got 3 columns. So that's how I kind of look at a page. When I look at a page, sometimes I don't even look at the design. I'm just looking at how is that gridded up. And if you look at another website and you have that kind of thinking, you can quite easily make it the same in Zenler. You can just start to put the blocks in and you can just put the imagery where you want it to go and change the size. So it makes it easy for you to work if you think like that. So we're going to do that block now. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to grab an empty block. Remember, we're doing all this stuff ourselves. So I'm going to grab that block and put it in here. My systems are playing up today, so I've got a lot of stuff going on. So let's do the same here. So I'm going to first of all change this background color here to kind of a pinky color. I think I've got it there. I want to go a little bit lighter with that. Okay. And then I'm going to do the duplication thing that we did last time. Need to add a row. Yeah, because remember, elements go inside rows. Let's copy that. And so this page that you've looked at, it's made up of 4 blocks. So the last block I've got to do after this one is the form block. And then it's done. So let me go and pick a dark grey for that. And clone that. All right, so I want to put another row now. We've done this top part. We've done this part. This is 1 row. Now we got this one. So 1 row, 3 columns. So I'm going to select the row. Yeah, select the row, and you've got a little plus, just like you've got a little plus for here, where you can click and select a different type to go in there. We've also got that plus on the row block as well. So you can see there. So I'm going to click that little plus, and what that's going to happen is going to drop a row beneath it. So I'm going to click inside here. We're going to go and select our 3 there. And now I've got them in there, I could start adding my images. So we created that block. We created that one for that. And we need to just drop those in. So I'm going to go to add element, and I'm going to go to image. And we're going to go and grab the first one. Now, these images are different sizes, so we're just going to be using our resize. So I'm going to the next block now, and I've got this one. Finally, this one as well, which is that one, anxiety. So you see these are all different images. So I'm going to take this, I'm just going to resize it down before I move on, and then I'm going to get this, I'm going to resize that down. And that's about right. And now, remember, we've got our 3, trying to get that, 3 columns. We've got our elements inside it. Now we're going to add the next part, which is the text for it. So I'm not going to clone it this time. I'm just going to add it just because it's good to do that. So I'm going to use heading 2. And let's go and put training. Okay, I'm now going to style it up. And the size looks good. I might just, I think 30 is good. Okay, and I'll save myself a bit of time. I'll just clone this one, drag it across to here, drop it in, and clone it again. And we're going to put in here. Anxiety. There we go. And you're going to see that this is going to go out of alignment, but that's all right. I'm not worried because I know I can set the alignment in the row, which is what we're going to do. Next thing I need to do is just add a button. So we're starting to get there. We just need to add these little buttons in here that will link up to other pages. So if you've created, hopefully you've created a page on toilet training, you've got a page on tricks and skills, you've got another page on anxiety. It might even say blog, and it might go to your blog, or it might go to a course. It could go anywhere you want it to. So I'm going to create that button in there. I'm going to go into add a new element, and I'm going to go to buttons, and I'm going to click this little button here. It's going to give us the default button. Again, buttons have got this little gear icon, and we're going to go and select the design style for the button. Now, in my case, I'm going to use a rounded one here, and you're going to see that it will change inside there. And I'm only going to do this once because I can clone it then and then just change the color. So I'm going to come in here and we're going to put in for the text, instead of submit, I want to put find out. And then I'm going to do a few things. Now, this is where we will link. So it says choose action. We will be going to a link. At the moment, we haven't set any actions, right? This is important because when we create a new page, then we can link to that page. So when we start talking about relative links, that'll all be clear. So let's go into style for this. I'm going to change a few little bits in here. I want this to be later, I think, and I'm going to also change it to a regular. And I think the size is okay. Yeah, I'll leave the size the same. I'm also going to change width from full width to normal. And it's a little bit too much space here and here. So remember we had spacing top, bottom, left and right. That was like to push things up, push things down, move them this way, move them that way. We also have what's called padding, and that's whatever's inside the box. So padding is here. It's closed by default, but if you open it up, you're going to see that you're going to get some more sliders. Now watch what happens to this when I move this. Do you see it's moving up? So it's actually adding more padding inside. So I can set that on something I like, and then I can change that, set it for that as well. And also I could set the padding left and right as well. So you can make it bigger or smaller if you wanted to. You can also type a number in here and you can copy and paste a number. So that sets that. Now I just need to set the color for it. So where I've got the color down here, I can go to background color and I can select that pinky color there. There we go. You can also change the text color as well and all of the settings inside there. So you can have text transform, you could have uppercase. If you've typed it all upper and lower and you just want it upper, you could just click in there and it will go all uppercase. If you want it all lower, you can hit lower. If you want it as you've typed it, you just have none. And obviously we've covered width. We've also got alignment. You can align it center, left or right. So you could put it to the left of the box, you can see there, and you can put it to the center. And these alignment properties, as well as all of these properties I've just shown you, are pretty much in all of the other elements as well. So remember that. So we've got no action set with this, but I'm going to clone this little button. Then I'm going to move it over here, drop it in. I'm going to change the color of it. Let's change it to a blue. And then I'm going to clone it again. I'm going to move it into here. And then I'm going to turn it into an orange. All right. So our alignment is out and we can fix that. So the alignment, I'm going to really change this a lot. So you can see the alignment's dropped out. It's basically to do with the images. Your images are slightly different sizes, but you can get a row to align itself by a top and a bottom, so or a center. So if I go into this row here and I click this row, and then I just go into the settings for the row, you're going to have lots of properties in here, like the spacing, the padding. You could actually put a border around it if you wanted to, using border style and border width. And you've also got in here horizontal alignment. So it doesn't just do it on the vertical, it also does it on the horizontal. And we have center picked. So because it's centered, all of this is being centered. And because this image is a different size, it's throwing it out. So if I go to vertical alignment, I want to actually align it all by the bottom. So I'm going to click bottom. And now it's all perfectly aligned. So if you have got different images, you can get away with it using those alignments. So I'm going to, obviously I want to bring this up to roughly the same size. So let's put that like that, save that off. And I have another block created. Now, initially it takes a bit of time to do your first page, but once you've got your first page made and you save the blocks out, you can reuse them. So you can reuse them for other pages later, and it can save you a lot of time. So I'm going to take this block and we're going to say, save that block out. And I probably wouldn't save this block out until I've put the links into the actual pages, but I'll do it anyway here. So I'm going to go at workshops covered and click save. So now this brings us on to the last part of this page, which is this form. So I'm going to set this form up now. We did it on the holding page before, so I'm going to whiz through this, and then I'm going to ask if anyone's got any questions on what we've done, because we basically set a whole page up. You could add more text to that. You could put text into different columns. And as a basics to learn Zenler, this is all you need to know to create a site. And then we've got to look at how we can link between pages, which is obviously really important. So let's go in here and let's add a new empty block. And I'm going to go and grab that in there. And we're going to just duplicate some of this. One row, need a row to put elements into. I'm going to take this. We're going to clone it. A little bit of a tip here. If you can't see the block, because at the moment, like, I'm trying to drag it into that block. If I grab this and I drag it down, it doesn't move. I can't put it into that block. There's two things you can do. You can either put it in there and then grab it and then put it in there. Right. The other thing that you could do is you could actually zoom out. So let me just delete this. This is another top tip for you. So let me clone this and then hit the clone. And on the keyboard, you can press the Control and the minus key and you can zoom out. Hold the Control key, hit the minus. So this then will give you a little bit. It's basically making the thing smaller, but it allows you to then get it into that area. Then you can press Control and 0 and it will reset it back to what it was. So it's a really handy tip if you're copying stuff from higher up in the page and you want to get it down the bottom. That Control minus and then Control 0. If you press Control plus, by the way, it will actually zoom in. So Control 0 will reset it back to what it should be. Little tip. So let me go and grab this. Let me change this block to a green. Maybe a bit lighter. Sorry, guys, I could spend all day doing these things, which I do. Okay, and I'm going to change that actually into white so it stands out a bit more. If you get this little block come up, just click anywhere on the page and we'll click and put that into white. Okay, so now I need the last part, which is this. Yeah, good. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drop a form in there. So we've done that top part, just going to drop this form in, and I'm going to show you how to do an inline form, because by default, it's going to put it down the bottom. So really easy. There's certain things you need to make sure of, but it's pretty easy. So if I go to elements now, we can go to form. And by the way, you can go up here to select elements as well as clicking that little plus button down here. Okay, so there's two ways to do it. So inside here, we're going to go to elements. We're going to go to form. We're going to get this form and I'm going to drag it into here like that. Okay. So this has created a form. Now, remember I was saying about this blue, green, red, but there's also purple for forms. This is the purple one for forms here. So you can see it goes around this whole form. Now, what I'm about to show you, you need to make sure these elements are still inside the form. If you drag, say I got this and I dragged it outside of the form box, let me just put it up here, then it's outside the form, so it will not work. All right, you need to make sure they're inside the form. So I'm just going to press Control Z to go back one, and we're going to create the row for it. So I'm inside this form area. I'm going to click on one of these little fields and I'm going to click this little plus, add new element. Now I'm going to add a row. So I'm going to add a 2-column row. So now it's put a 2-column row in here, but notice I'm still inside the form. So now I can take this, I can drag it into there, and I can take this one, and we're going to be covering forms a lot more because there's lots of things you need to know about it. So I'm also going to take this and we're going to change this to a different design. In this case, I'm going to make it an outlined. I'm going to go into the settings for this and change it to white. Change the border color to white. The border color is really thin, so I'm going to change the border thickness to about 3, maybe even more, 4. And I'm going to make this nice and bold. I'm going to make it bigger as well. Okay, that'll do. And I want to take full width and I want to just make it normal and change the padding on this. Okay, and change sign up for launch. So remember, we're working on site. We haven't launched any courses yet. So it's still at the stage where you're trying to grab people in. You're just building your site out. So we're going to go into settings and I'm going to go sign up for launch. So sign up for launch. Okay. And you might want to tag these people when they're coming in, or you might not want to. You might also want to send them to a thank you page. So inside of the settings, inside this submit button, we can do all of those things. We could add a tag to them if we wanted to. So you could go new, what would you call it? Let's call it pre-launch. And then I'm going to hit enter. So when those people come into the platform now, under your little leads from people, let me go to, when they sign up for the form and they come in as leads, they will come in as leads, they'll be tagged with that tag that we just put in, okay? And the role will be leads and it will have captured their email and their name, all right, because we put pre-launch in there. Now, post-submit action, we can send them to a thank you page as well. So if you have a thank you page made up, and I think we did because we created one last week, we're going to send them to that thank you page. Now, Claire, relative links. So most people, when they're linking to something, they will grab the whole URL. That's called an absolute link. But we don't want to do that. We want to just capture from the end of the domain. So it says .com and then /. We just want to put the / and the whole of the rest of the stuff. So if you were doing this one down here, this waiting list, you'd grab that // and then you can just copy it. So I've got this thank you page set up, so I'm going to reuse that. So I'm going to just select all of that. I'm going to copy it, jump back into the page for the post submit action. I'm going to say go to link, and then I'm just going to paste in that link, which is just thank you /. So let me just, there, you can see it just says / dog training, which leads to the thank you page of that there, just that. And because it's internal, it will find that page. So like I said later, if you decide to change the domain name or change if you're using free and you want to change the free name, those links will still work. So we want to be using these relative links in every place that we link. inside the site. Obviously, like I said, if you're going outside outside to another site, then you'll need to put the whole URL in. But if it's internal in the Zenler site, use the relative links. Okay, that's quite a big question actually that's asked on the Facebook group. It comes up quite a lot where people have said my page doesn't work, and you normally find it's because they've converted it to a custom domain and they're still using the old newzenler.com links, and then it's kind of like causing problems, or they've gone to a different page and it causes problems. So just make sure that you do that. That is relative links. We'll be doing more of that in a second. So we've got them. So they're now going to come in on this form. They're going to go and be tagged in with pre-launch. Then after they've clicked the button, the post submit action, which is post after, is go to a link, go to the thank you page. So again, you can adapt the thank you page to suit the style of your site if you're working on your site. So now I'm going to click save to that, and we've done it. We've created this whole page. Now I can reuse this form, which might be really handy because I might want to put the form in various places in the site. So once again, I'm going to come in here and we're going to call this pre-launch form and click save. And now we should have the page. So I've saved all of that. Let's go and check it out. So that's our new page. I'm going to publish this page. You don't need to, you can preview it, but I'm going to publish it. I'm going to select the whole URL. I'm going to go into incognito. We're going to test that it works. And there we go. So we got a whole page made up there, pretty consistent because we copied lots of the same headings and we just reused them. So I know all the size and the spacing and all these things are okay. And we have this form down here where someone can test it. So I'm just going to test this now. Let me put James and then just use that. Click the launch. I should go, yep, gone to the thank you page. Perfect. Let's go and check in the site and see whether I've been recorded in there. So I'll just close incognito. I'm going to go back to our people. Let's go down to leads, and you're going to see in here, there we go. I'm in there, and look, I've been tagged with pre-launch as a lead. So we've created that first page. I tested my form. Test the forms in your page. Make sure they work. Make sure it's working as expected. And now this is capable of capturing leads when I turn it into the home page. So that leads us on to that page and how we can make that the home page. We can make the home page by going to home page and just selecting it. I don't want to do it quite yet because we need to look at the header and the footer before we activate the page. So that was quite a big one there, guys. Are you all okay with that? You can come off mic if you want to. Oh, lots of nod heading, so that's good. Right. All right. So you're all good. So I'm just gonna have a look through the chat. So people are saying it looks nice, so that's lovely. So it's really quick to do this stuff. So is there a mechanism to set up an email direct, or does it have to come through the site? I don't understand that. I have a GoDaddy site other than mail. I don't really need now all Zenler. So you want to do it through your own mail server? Yes, you can. We're not onto that yet, but I'll quickly share where you can actually set up your own SMTP. And I know people are probably screaming now going, what is SMTP? It's basically if you're using your own mail system, they'll have things called SMTP, which is like outgoing mail. And they also have things called POP3, which is like incoming mail. So you can set up SMTP directly inside of Zenler and bypass Zenler mail system, if that's what you meant. So I don't want to go too much in detail, but I can point you in the right area just quickly. So if you go to integrations here and then you scroll down, you're going to see when this loads, you're going to see down here that we can bring your own SMTP. If you want to add your own SMTP, you can do it there. Okay. So hopefully that's helped you. So can I have more than, yeah, can I have more than one H1 heading on my site? Yeah, you can have more. I don't advise it though, because that should be the name of that page. There's lots of people that do these massively long pages and one page sites they're called, but they don't do as well as multiple page sites just because it's on topic. So if you're creating a page that is about dog training, about your particular company, you're just talking about that. And that's all you're talking about. If you've got a page that's mixed, mashed with lots of other things like our biography, you know, what courses we do, all this stuff, it can get really lost. And Google's kind of like, well, what's most important here? You know, what is most important? You're trying to make the life easier. Try and think like you're trying to make Google's life easier in understanding what the page is about. That's why when you create things like blog posts and stuff, you're very specific because you want to capture those people for that target audience. So you wouldn't have lots of headings in there. You know, you'd have one main heading on what the blog post is about. So I'd advise to try and keep one heading as H1. And then if you're going to have other headings in the page, use H2, but just change the size so it looks like H1, because Google will look at it and go, it's an H2 heading, it's an H1 heading, because behind the scenes it's being tagged with H1 and H2, etc. So actually in the code itself, it's not just made up that H1, H2, H3, it's actually what the code will say inside it. And like for body text, it will give it a body tag or a paragraph tag, and that's how it knows what it is. So be careful about that. If you're going to do a big site where you want all the headings the same size, main page title H1, the rest of the subjects inside there, you can do them H2, and you can just make sure the size is the same as the H1. Then no one will know any difference from a aesthetic point of view. So why aren't we able to change the background of the row? I don't know. That's just the way it is. You can change the background color of it. Let me go in and just show you. So you can play around with the settings. It's the only way really to learn this stuff is to actually just go ahead and just play around. But you can change row. You can change the actual row color itself. But I think it's something to do with the way the system works. You can put a background color in a row, background image in a row, but it requires using CSS. Like I said, Zenler's quite powerful. So let me just share my screen and just show you quickly. So under here, we have this row. So if I go into settings, I can actually go in here and change the background color. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm being stupid. You can put a background image in there. So look right down the bottom. You got here. We could choose an image. Let's choose that one. So you can see I've put that in there. I could also go in there and choose a background color. So I could choose a color there. So you can do that. By the way, this little thing here, this little checker is transparent. So you can put that in there. And we can also set a background position. This is something I didn't talk about. You know, we've got a small block. I'm just going to choose this one. I love questions because they bring up other things that I haven't covered. So if I put this background image in here, I'm going to use Angela's for this. So I've got this image in here. What we also have is a background image position. Now, remember that our block hasn't got the same height as the image. The image height is much, much bigger. So what's happening here is inside the block is putting the image in there, and it's asking you, where do you want to take that image from? In this case, the image background position is taken from the top left-hand corner. So it's actually pushing the image out from the top left, but you can change the position of that. So if you go into background image position, you can actually say, I want it to be bottom center, and it will completely change where it is inside that block. Now, obviously, that makes a big difference to where it is, because we wouldn't want to have it just like that. We'd want to have it coming from the top so that you could see the lady in here. So if I get top center, that's what you'd see. I probably wouldn't want that form in the way, so I'd probably bring it down like that or bring that up. So you can put an image in a row, you can put a background color in a row, you can do all that quite easily. So hopefully
thank you, David. I just can't believe how you've just demonstrated how different this is and how much more user-friendly it is compared to most other platforms I've used. So I wanted to rephrase my question to can we as opposed to why can't we? So thanks for that.
Well, we can. They can. So yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I think the page builder is, people love the page builder because it's intuitive. You know, you can see we've spent a bit of time now going through building these blocks, but we can reuse these blocks later. And you can see by being able to do things like clone, drag them in the page and actually see it all happening in the page. And this is what I love. I'm not knocking any of the other LMS systems that are out there, like Kajabi, Teachable. They're all good. They've all got their function, but I chose Zenler. Because of the way that it works, the way that I was able to drag things around. And I've tried the other platforms. Some of them I was using for a time, but I never liked the way that you had to build everything. There was like a little pop out on the left hand side, and you couldn't change things in the page. You had to do it on the left hand side, and then it would update on the page. So you could change the order of the blocks, and then you didn't have control on things like padding and the spacing. And it really annoyed me because it was like, why am I working in this little left-hand corner of the screen? And I've got all this real estate that's showing me all this stuff. Why can't I do it in the page? And then I found Zenler, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is the same as a kind of WordPress page builder. So I can go in here, I can drag things around, I can clone things, I can save blocks out. And for me, it speeds up work, you know, the actual producing the stuff so much quicker, because I can visually see what I'm doing. I can see it on screen, you know, even on the preview window that I've got set up here, I'm seeing it, how it would look. You know, I can see how it's look. I can go, okay, I'm going to change that, make that a little bigger. I can have infinite control over every part of it. And because my background is website developer, then for me, it's really important that I have this pixel perfect control over every element of the page design, because it doesn't matter how, this is to blow you away, because it doesn't matter how good a course creator you are or how good a teacher you are. You might have students, when you've taught them live, going, you're the best teacher in the world. I love the way you teach. The fact is, if your site doesn't pull people in and doesn't look good, then you're not going to make sales. If you do make sales, you'll keep those people because your teaching is brilliant, but you won't pull new people in. If they look at your site and they see it's eye-catching, they're going to think, well, this looks really professional. And then they get backed up by you teaching them amazingly, and they're like, wow, you know, then they stay with you. So it's this thing, you know, never judge a book by its cover, but unfortunately everybody does, you know. So you've got to so having a good way of building pages and visually seeing something and giving you flexibility is the key thing in Zenler, I think it is. So Zenler is WYSIWYG, yeah. So what you see is what you get. So if you want to change where images placed manually, yeah, you could, yes, absolutely. So if you did want to, if you guys are using Canva or like Pixlr, which we talked about last week, and you want to crop an image and get things the way you want to, you can. I mean, that image that I just showed you from Angela's site, I took it straight from the website. Now, if I was putting it into Zenler's site, and I just wanted to take what she's got and do it to a Zenler site, but personally, I'd probably open it up in Photoshop and crop the top off, so it was a better match. So you can use things like Canva, you can use things like Pixlr to get things even more perfect, exactly where you want stuff placed. So that's definitely a good question there. So, but what advantage to have it compared to Wix? Well, Wix, right, okay, so Wix, WordPress, they're not course creation sites, okay? So Wix has got its own set of good things that are good for it. So WordPress has got its own stuff that is good for it. Zenler has got its own stuff. Zenler doesn't turn around and say to you that it replaces Wix, Squarespace, WordPress. You know, it is what it is. We're not saying we're comparing ourselves to something, because it's something completely different. We just wanted to make it an easy way for you to be able to update your pages and have maximum flexibility. And Wix is terrible, by the way. I did a site for someone. They were already on Wix. They didn't want to leave. I was trying to get them to leave, and it was a horrible experience. So Squarespace is really good. Obviously, WordPress is really good. Drupal, Joomla are really good. But I think, it's like me. I would only use Zenler. I would even consider just using Zenler even if I wasn't a course creator, just because it's really good to have these ways of changing things, adding things all the time. So I might even consider Zenler just to build sites on. That's how much I think of it from that point of view, but it's not the same as Wix. It's not a Squarespace site or a WordPress site at all. All right, so moving on with this, we need to look at links now, because we are ready to set up our site. We could say this is ready. So so this could launch, you could have that stuff on there. We haven't got the buttons tied into any pages. So let's create some pages. I'm going to do it really quick, guys, because we are running out of time. So I need to be quite speedy with this. So I've got here. So toilet, tricks, train. So we're going to create some pages. We're going to use what we've already got, and we're going to create some quick pages in here. So I'm not linking to any of these other pages yet. You need to go through all of these other pages and you need to style them. Okay, so you can reuse the blocks. So I'm going to do, the first one I'm going to do is, let's say, anxiety. So I'm going to take this block here, and I'm actually just going to duplicate it. I'm going to clone it. So I'm going to click clone. And that's going to then clone this page. I'm going to go into the gear icon, just making sure I'm sharing here. Drug training, let's call this anxiety. Okay, I'm going to take this URL, I'm going to copy it in here. Update. Okay, so I've created this anxiety page. I'm going to click edit to this page, and I'm going to close. Just let me save that one off, close this one down. Okay. So these pages are going to be based off each other. So I'm doing the anxiety one, but I'm going to base the tricks and the toilet training all off the same pages. So I'm doing it really quick. You would spend a bit of time with this. So we're going to go in here and we're going to put anxiety. Right, nothing too dramatic. So I'm just going to go in here, delete this block out. Then you would go, I'm going to use the same block in here. So about our training. Okay, now I'm just going to grab some lorem text because I haven't got time to type all of that stuff out. So I'm going to type lorem in here, and this just gives me some text to put in. It's at lipsum.com, and you can come in here and you can generate random copy that just allows you to, it's kind of like gobbledygook, but it looks like proper copy. So it gives you that kind of flow. So I'm just going to take some of that copy and I'm just going to drop it into there. And I'm going to go to edit. I want to change this to Lato. So let's change it to that and regular. All right, and just delete this out. So you see, I'm using that original page that we created to create this. So I'm going to leave this form in here, but say I wanted to change the color of this form. Say I wanted to change the whole color of this area, because anxiety area is orange because we've got it there. So I'm setting a kind of brand look and feel. So I'm going to go in here and just choose an orange, and then like lightning here, I'm just going to choose a kind of color from that. And a slightly darker color here. Okay, that'll do. And then I'm going to put this to an orange. maybe close this up a bit as well. Okay, so we have a little page there. I'm going to choose that page. I'm going to choose that and just make that different color as well. Let's make this a kind of light color like that, and click save. All right, so I created a page. You saw how quick that we did that. It's only a very basic page, but it gives you an idea. So you'd obviously do your SEO for this and save this page. And so now what I'm going to do, I've got this page set up. I'm now going to create another page based off of this page. So we just created that anxiety page, and I'm going to base a page off of that. So I'm going to choose the anxiety page now. I'm going to clone it. And this time we're going to call it toilet training. So I'm going to go into the little gear icon. We're going to go click update, jump into the editor. Toilet training we have as a pink color. So I'm going to go and grab and style it in the pink, just change that text over. And then we have another page. Last page is tricks. And then we're going to link it all up to these blocks using relative links. And then I'm going to jump straight into the header and the footer and show you how to do that. So here we go. Okay, that'll do. Okay, I'm going to leave that the same. Just choose that color for this, and then I'm going to go into this. And you know, guys, you can also change this per page. So if you wanted to, you could, because it is a clone of that, you know, that block is a clone of that page, but we can still set this up. So if you wanted to tag people coming in, maybe you want to tag people coming in and you want to find out that they signed up through this page, which is a toilet training page. So you could come in here and you could set a tag up for this. You could leave pre-launch on, you could delete pre-launch out, and you could put toilet page. It doesn't sound very good, but you get the idea. So you would then know if the lead come in, they would be toilet page. Oh, they must have signed up through the toilet page. So you know straight away where they've come in, which can be good. So you can tag people coming in on different pages as well. So we're going to save that page out. So then we have this new page. I click done to that. Obviously make sure you SEO it. For the sake of this workshop, I'm not. And then I'm going to come out of that. Now I've got this, I need to do my last page. I'm going to clone it. And this one is tricks and skills. So we're going to go into the gear icon. Just call it tricks. Copy this, paste it in there, hit update. And I've got that. I'm going to edit this page. This page is a blue color. There. So that'll be 3 pages we've done. So I'm then going to go back to the original page. I'm going to link it up using relative links. Okay, that's good. I don't like that color. Okay, save that out. Okay, so now we have our pages. So we have our tricks, our training, our anxiety. Now remember this page that we set up earlier, this workshop page. We're going to edit that and I'm going to be linking it to these. So the first one I want to link to is the toilet training one. So I'm going to only grab this part of the URL. This is the relative part of the URL after the .com. So I'm going to go into this workshop now, and it's going to open this page up in a new tab, which is really handy because it means I can jump back to this page to grab the links. So once it's loaded, we'll link it all up, and then we've got a working site with a home page, a toilet training page, a tricks page, and an anxiety page. And we have forms in all of those pages. So it's a working site. So then all we need to do is change the menu and maybe look at the footer, and then it's done. So I'm going to go down here where we've got toilet training. I'm going to click the little gear icon. I'm going to go into here. We're going to go choose an action, go to a link. We're going to choose, put that link in there. Yeah, that toilet training link. And that's done. I'm going to click save. When that's finished, I'm going to go to the next one. So now we want the link for the tricks and skills. So I'm going to click the gear icon, go back to settings, go choose an action, choose a link. I'm going to jump back to the page now. So we've got tricks, which is this one. I'm going to grab that end part of the URL, and it is the right one. Yep, going to put that in there, click save. And then the last one I'm going to go is for anxiety, which is there. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to test it in a second as well. So last one I've got here is anxiety, gear icon, settings, into here, choose an action, go to link, and paste that in there. By the way, just to tell you, this opening a new tab, if you turn this on, it means if they click this link, it'll open in a new tab. Okay, so that's all that does. This can be really good. If you're going to an external site, my advice is always make sure you turn on the opening new tab. The reason being is if they're in your site and then they're going to another channel or another website location, then what you don't want them to do is for your web page to be replaced by a new page. You'd rather have your page there and then a new page open up in a new tab, because that means that your page is always open, and Google will know and will record that as time spent on your site, and you'll get a higher ranking because of it. Okay, so external sites, always make sure you use open in new tab. All right. For internal sites, I don't usually open it in a new tab. Okay, let's click save to that, and then we're going to go and test it. Now I can test this because all of my pages are published. All right. So let's go and see this site in action. I'm going to choose the whole URL, and we're going to jump into our incognito window, paste that in there. And now I have my page. Oh, it's the wrong one. Sorry. Right, I need to grab the proper one, which is this one here. Copy, copy, copy. Let's go to incognito again. Okay, so pretend this is your home page. Someone's arrived, clicking down. I want to know more about toilet training. Click this, and there we go. Toilet training for your dog. And then, of course, they can go back. And if they click there, it's the tricks and skills. So all with relative links there, and anxiety for your pet. So how do we get these to appear in the menu system? And what's this appearing? All courses and support. Do we need that at this stage? Not really, because we haven't done the support page and we haven't done the all courses page, which are inside here in my courses. Yeah. And support is there. So you need to go into all of these pages and just style them all before you turn them on. So we're going to look at now how we can turn things off and on inside the header area. So this is our header area. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click this little gear icon. And over here, I have the ability to go into the menu. I also can change the color in here, which I should. I'm going to go over to the menu, and this is my menu: home, all courses, support. Now, because we're working our site, building our site up, we can actually get rid of some of these pages. If you want people to visit the support page, it's not going to show at the moment because the support page is here and it's unpublished. So they're not going to see it. So until you've finished it, you don't want to turn it on. So I'm going to delete this out. So don't be scared about deleting it out, because you can put this all back. They all link. Look in here. Oh, look, that we use relative links /courses. Look at this. /courses somewhere there. See, we use them. We don't use the whole link because that's the best practice for it. So I'm going to delete this out, and we're going to be setting up our menu to go to those other pages. So on the top menu, so I'm going to go up here. First one we're going to grab is going to be toilet training. So I'm going to just grab that URL, copy. And we're going to go in here, add a new menu item. We're going to go toilet training, visible to all. You can set this so it's only visible to logged in users or logged out users. We're going to get more into that when we talk about courses. So we're going to go select an action, go to a link. We're going to put our little relative link in there, and we're going to click save. And now we will have created the toilet training. I'm just going to change that to upper and lowercase. Okay, now we're going to do the next one. So we're going to come into here. We're going to choose the tricks. Jump back, anxiety. All right, and save. If you guys are noticing that says community, you don't see that as a student, okay? You're just seeing all of the stuff as admin. And we're going to talk about communities and courses later when we start doing the course creation part of the course. So let's go and test this out now again. So we have this all set up. All these pages are published. I'm now going to go into this and we're going to test it out. So I'm going to go in here, incognito, and put that in there. And now you're going to see we have all of our menu system up the top. So as well as being in the page where we can jump around, we can also now fully use the site. So we can go into tricks training, we can go into dogs training, we can go into toilet training, and we can go into home. So we have a fully rounded site, okay, that's done. That's only taken us to home because we haven't set the new home page. So the last part we need to look at is down the bottom, and it's really easy, guys. I'm going to cover this really, really quick. So we're going to shoot down to the bottom to the footer menu, and we're going to have some of the same options that we already have. So if we go into the menu, you can see we've got links in here. So if you want to link up to some of your policies or support or stuff, you can do it in here. But we haven't created those pages yet. So we want this site to be fully working before we release it off. So I'm going to delete these out because, you know, it's really easy to put these back in. So I'm going to take all this stuff out. And guys, if you need to do your terms and conditions and policies, just make sure that you do. I'm not saying that it shouldn't have terms and conditions down there. I just want to make this a fully working site. Okay, before I get complaints. So I've done that. Now I've also got down the bottom, I've got social media icons. So you have little social media icons, really easy to add new ones and to edit. So what you need to do is you need to open this up and then you need to put the link. So if I was doing the Zenler Facebook page or group, I would come in here, copy this, then I would go for Facebook. I would put that in there. And then I would put go to link, and I would, because it's an external site, I go open in a new tab, click save. So you can add new ones. If you come into here, you can find an icon. Usually, like if I put in Twitter or my Twitter logo, that should come up. So it's normally you type a little bit and then you can say what you want it to do. So it goes to a link, again, visible to all or only logged in users. Save that and it will then appear inside there. And if you don't want them, let me just cancel that. If you don't want these in here, you can just remove them. So remember, the whole aim of this workshop is to get this as a live working site that you can keep building to. So I'm only going to leave the Facebook one in there because it's connected up to our YouTube channel. So I'm going to click save. And you can see nothing will appear in here much. And we're now going to check whether it works. So I'm going to go back into pages. So now we're checking the footer. Okay, we've got nothing on there. We've got one social media. This will open a new tab to our Facebook group. So let's click it, new tab, our Facebook group. has appeared in there. So that's how you can do it. So if it's an external site like your YouTube channel, your Instagram, your Twitter, your Pinterest, just do it to open in a new tab. That way you're never going to lose them from the site. All right. So social media is really easy to set up in there. You can put your menu to these pages here down the bottom if you wanted to. Probably best to make sure you've got your privacy and your terms and conditions and your cookie policy. So if I was you, I would make sure that you get those done as well. And you'll find those down here. So you've got cookie policy, you have terms and conditions and privacy policy. So go into these pages and edit them. Also, when you're working through the pages, make sure that you go into the unsubscribe and the subscribe mail and you change it over for your logo. So if I go in to edit this page, I'm going to jump into this page now, and I'm going to switch the logo over for the doggy logo. So this is the subscribe. So you should do this in your site as well. Like I said, this is something I've spotted before where people have still got the Zenler logo in there. We put it in there as a placeholder, but we expect you to change it. So inside here, you can see we've got our logo. So you'll want to come into here. You might even want to come into here and add a new block. If it's a dynamic block, be really careful, guys. If I go into here and I delete this out, then that basically hasn't got Zenler anymore. And I could come into here, or I could go down here, add a new row. I'm going to add 3. I'm going to put an element in here. It's going to be an image. Okay. Select that, move that up and save it. And there we go. So I've changed that page. You can come in here as well and change the background image and all the stuff that we showed you earlier. But definitely make sure that you do that with both your unsubscribe and your subscribe. And like I said, if you want to link it up the footer menu, if you want to link it to the cookie policy, just use that end part. And if you want to do it to terms and conditions, again, use the end part, privacy policy, the end part, and just drop those links in there. Seeing how easy it is to create the menu. And what you'll also notice is because we have a dynamic header, dynamic footer, and a dynamic header, wherever that is in the site, so if it's in other pages, it changes you making one page are going to ripple through the rest of the pages. So this site is now ready to go. We've done a base test of it. We know the forms work. So we are ready to release this on the world. So let's just go in, do one more test, and then we're ready to release it. So I'm just going to do a final check. And this is going to be our new one. I would name this slightly differently because it says workshop. If I was to name it as home, I probably want to call it something like that. Not that you're going to see it because it will become a homepage, but just so that it's all, there we go. Right, let's check this out. So let's go and select this. Check through all the forms as well, make sure all the forms are working. So this is a site as we see it, and that looks good. And can I jump around? Yes. I jump back to this, should take me to there. Yep, that's right. Okay, so this is now ready to launch. So if you guys have got it at this stage, then what you can do, if you're then working on other pages, so you've got more pages to add to it, you can just create those pages. And when you've created them, you can then add it to the menu. So you can actually have the site live and start building the site when you're happy with each page. So you preview the page first, check that it looks good, and then you can actually just add it to the menu system and have it actually integrated into site. So now I'm going to make this the home page. So this is the page I want, this one here. I'm going to go to home page now. So we've now produced our first set of pages and we're happy to release them on the world. So we're going to go for logged out users. We're going to go and pick this one here, which is the name of it. And I'm also going to do it for logged in as well. So I'm going to do it for both. And I'm going to click save. And now when we go to this site, this demo site, we're going to have the new pages come up. So there we go. So it's all come up. I can jump between these pages, and I have a live site. So let me just log out. You won't see this if I log out. There we go. See, it's for logged in users only. So that is how you can create the site. So spend some time. Now, what's going to happen now is next week, I'm running one more live, and then I'm going to have a break for Christmas and New Year. So next week is going to be an open house. I know some people have already registered for it. So it's going to be an open house Q&A session. So if you can try and start the process of doing your site, hopefully you'll run into some problems. Write those problems down, and we can talk about them in next Sunday's live. Okay, so it will be just on what we've covered so far. So you might want to talk about media creation. You might want to talk about all the things we've already done in the workshop. This video that we're recording now will be up live tomorrow in the course. So if you haven't gone to the course yet, let me just put the URL. You should all be in the course. Let me go in there. It will be in the replay section of the course, and you'll also have a link in there allowing you to book your spot for the Sunday open house, which is same time next week. So let me just go in and grab. If you haven't joined this course yet, make sure that you do. Make sure you write that course down, and you're going to see it in here. There, you can see it's already there. So we've got open house next week, exactly the same time, next Sunday. And the live will go in here tomorrow morning with the PDF that I was showing earlier. And I'll also put the reference to those videos that I put at the beginning of the chat as well. So I think that's it, guys. That's quite a lot. We've got a lot of stuff going on. So are you all happy? You're all good, are you? I know it was a lot, wasn't it? It was quite a lot. And I know, I work really quick. You've seen how quick I work with this stuff. It just shows you how fast Zenler is. I mean, I'm being slowed down a little bit by the page editor. It's taking, 5 or 6 seconds to load. But because you're working so quick throughout the platform, it doesn't really slow me down. In fact, sometimes I like it to load slower, because it forces me to kind of not go. I'm kind of a bit of a shotgun. I just attack everything. So it kind of forces me to slow down a bit, which helps me. Right. So Camille's got a question. What did Camille ask? Is it easy to link to our email in the footer?
Just, yeah, when you went through and put like Facebook and Twitter, can you have an email link? And is that something that's pretty straightforward to do as well?
Yeah, it is. Good
like
question.
A contact of, okay.
No, it was a good question, because I was going to cover that as well. We got 2 minutes before the end. We have a little bit of extra time. So I'm just in this subscribe, actually going to this page. If we want to put a link into our text, it's really easy. We can select the text. Let's go and just create a new bit of, let's create a new bit in here. Let's go and just drop in a text here. And if I want to create a link for some of this, I can come into here, select the text, and then I've got this little link comes up. So inside here, I can put, obviously like Google or something, HTTP, and then click insert. And now I have that as a bit of text. Now that color is coming from the branding. Do you know, in the branding section of the site under here? So you've got things like link color, because I'm not logged in anymore. Let me go back. I just logged out. Okay, yeah, so like link color is under branding. And so if you want to change that link color for the body, so link colors there, let's make it a bright pinky color. and you can change the link. And you've also got link hover color as well. What color you're hovering over it. Where is it? Let me just save that. So if you want to link it to a mail address, you need to set up the link slightly differently. So just before I show you this, I'm going to show you how to set up a mail link. So you go down here, and what you need to do at the beginning of it, you need to go mail to. Guys, write this down if you want to use mail. So you need to put MAILTO, and then you can put the email in there at zenler.com. Okay. And then I can go insert. And what that link will now do is when you click on it, because it's got mail to and then colon and then the email address, it will actually try to open it with your mail program that you've got on your computer or your tablet or your phone. So it'll go straight to that, and they'll be in there for where you're going to send it to. So that is a really good question there. I'm going to preview this now. I'm just going to have a look at it. Oh, just got to wait for it to finish. This is where everything goes wrong, right at the very end. Oh, because I'm not logged in. Oh, dearie me. It's because I logged out to test it. It's thrown it up, so I need to go back in. Yeah, so use that mail to inside there and it will work. So this is the tag. So mail to. And then whatever that. Okay, so that's what you need to use. So let me go back in here. You have to do it again.
Could you use relative link? Could you use relative?
2 seconds. Let me just finish. Let me just.
Okay, sorry.
By the way, when I put the link in there, you can edit the link because it's an external. You probably want it to open in a new tab, so you can just check in there and click update. Okay. So if it's internal, you can use that short URL / whatever it is. And to do it mail, if I go into here and we click in here, I do mail to : and then David at zenler.com, and then you can just click insert, and that will then put a mail to in there. Okay, and you can see the color has changed to pink as well because we changed it in the branding. So I'm going to click save to that, and then we're just going to test it. Hopefully that link's all right. I'm going to go into the preview here, go down to the bottom, and we've got that link. So if I click that, it's going to go to Google. And if I click this one, it will open up in my mail program. If you look down the bottom left corner, just in the bottom left corner of the screen when I mouse over, you can see it says mail to, and then : David at zenler.com. So that would fire off to me. And you can see there in the left-hand corner, it says google.com. So that's how you can put internal links into there. And you can do exactly the same thing in the footer area. You can go in there, and instead of using a link, you just put mail to : and then whatever your email is. So you'll put in there the display text, email me, and then you could have the go to link in the action, and then you put mail to : then whatever your email address is, and that will work then. Is that right, Camille? Good. Someone else had a question.
Yeah, I was asking when you were typing, if you can, when you're adding links to text, can you use relative links there as well if you are adding inbound links?
Yes.
From post to post as well.
Yeah.
For example.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Works.
Yeah. Anywhere on the site, you can use those short relative links. And like you said, Mary, that's a good idea, because remember, a lot of you there are a lot of people that use lots of internal links in blog posts and things. So imagine if you did a load of blog posts all linking to each other with the whole URL, and then you decided, oh, I'm going to change my site name, and you changed it. You'd have to go through all of those links and change them up. So if you use relative inside the site, it will all work. That's the tip of the day. Right, we are out of time. It's 12:05 now, so we've been over 2 hours. So I put this video up tomorrow morning. Remember, we've got the live Q&As, and we've also got the community inside the course itself. So you go into the community, you can then post questions in there, or I'd love to see you next Sunday. Write down questions. Hopefully try doing some of this stuff. You will have problems. There will be things that you want to do that you can't do. And so if that's the case, write it down and just get on the live and then give me those questions. And that's all we're going to do. Our open house is just a Q&A session. So it'll run for about an hour to an hour and a half. And hopefully I should get through all of your questions. So hopefully see you next Sunday, just before Christmas and New Year. And I hope you've enjoyed this. And I look forward to seeing you all next week. And thank you for turning up. It shows real commitment, guys. See you later. Bye.